everybody. Welcome back to the Tipsy Ghosts. We're your tipsy hosts, Sarah, and Lindsay.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Don't sound excited to see us. Okay.
Hey.
Thank
you.
I am excited because I've got 2 fresh jokes.
Love.
However, I will not be performing them. I need your help.
Ooh,
Okay.
Yes.
Because you'll find out why.
Okay.
What does Michael Jackson like to do on vacation?
I don't know what.
Ski.
Okay, you were the most qualified.
See?
Did she say do it in a Michael Jackson voice?
It just says ski.
Oh,
And I knew.
You knew.
I knew.
Okay, I love it.
What did the pirate say on his 80th birthday?
I don't know.
Aye, matey. Aye, matey.
Oh.
I had to spell it out. Sound it out.
I agree. Sarah was the best for that.
Well, apparently not. You didn't get my 80.
Your Michael Jackson and your pirate voice are top notch.
That's all I can do.
I have 2 talents.
Call me for your pirate impersonations. I would definitely dress up and dance like Michael. I used to when I was little. I loved it.
Sorry, what?
And the hat
Mm-hmm.
and jacket and glove. No? Am I being weird?
No, I mean, that's cool.
I don't think you're being weird. My mom was
I didn't say I was
obsessed with
cool.
Michael Jackson, and she used
Sorry,
to
are you
make
calling me your mom's age?
No, I'm saying she used to make
My
me
mom
watch
really
like
likes him too.
every time he was on TV. So I grew up watching Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
My mom really likes vegetables too.
I am your mom.
I'm saying I also grew up watching him because my mom liked him.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, what's everybody drinking?
Well, tonight I am trying a Smirnoff Ice Red, White, and Mary.
I will also be trying a Smirnoff Ice Red, White, and Mary, but right
Oh.
now I'm finishing my Angry Orchard because I'm behind.
Okay.
What are you drinking? You got some wine?
I got some
Oh my gosh.
Why did that happen?
I got some wine. I do.
But tonight we've also added Magic Mind, our favorite little mental performance shot.
Because we have so much to do. We need to focus.
We do have focus issues.
So some goals I have for 2025, focus and productivity.
Better sleep is one of the main areas that I want to work on this year.
Yes, better sleep means you'll be able to focus more during the day, and I might be more likely to hit up the gym then.
Overall, my 2025 focus is going to be on mental wealth, including what Magic Mind calls the 5 pillars. Do you know what the 5 pillars are?
I do
No.
not. Please educate me.
In order for mental wealth, you need sleep, diet, exercise, stress management, and exogenous compounds.
What is an exogenous compound?
Same question.
Let me tell you, and it's really simple. It's basically being conscious of what you're putting into your body. Like, alcohol, excess alcohol, excess caffeine, excess prescription drugs.
Smart. I mean, if you invest in yourself now and build a good foundation, you can enjoy being your best self later.
That's where Magic Mind comes in. They now offer 2 products that work together to provide 24 hours of mental performance.
Our beloved favorite Magic Mind mental performance shot and their new sleep elixir. Combine the 2 and you get better sleep and better focus throughout the day.
I've been using both for a little over a week, and it's definitely having a good impact on my sleep, which is helping me have more energy and better focus throughout my day.
We are delighted to offer a discount on a bundle that includes both the focus and sleep shots for 45% off using our link.
Get 45% off the Magic Mind bundle with our link, magicmind.com/tipsyghostjan. That's TIPSYGHOSTJAN. This is a smorgasbord episode.
Smorg.
Okay.
Loved that.
That was beautiful.
Commitment.
Thank you.
Okay, tell me one of my great loves besides Taylor Swift.
Cats.
I was going to say animals.
Okay, tell me one of my great loves when it comes to stories I tell on the podcast.
Cryptids.
Okay, yes, okay.
That's not the answer?
No.
Aliens. Bigfoot.
Okay, you guys know I love medical stories from the 1800s.
Oh,
Medical
yeah, that.
stories from the 1800s.
There were so many loves.
I have so many loves.
Well, when you first said loves, you really should have been more specific.
You're right. You have mentioned that you love medical stories from the 1800s.
Old medical stuff.
I'd like to tell you
Yes.
about Dr. Ignaz Semmelweis.
Nope. Never heard of him.
That does not sound like an American name.
It's because he's Hungarian.
Okay. That's what I was going to guess.
I could never pronounce that already, so I'm already admiring you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this doctor could have saved so many lives If only people listened to him.
That seems like a common pattern in history.
Yeah. So let me tell you about him.
Yes.
He was born in Hungary in 1818. Love repetition. His parents were both German, and they owned a prosperous wholesale grocery store named, and this has been translated to English, you're welcome, At the White Elephant. I think it's German. I'm going to pronounce it like it's German.
Okay. Yeah.
Keeping in mind I'm not German.
You're not?
No.
Okay.
Zum Wieben Elefanten.
Wow.
That
Okay.
sounded beautiful.
If it's not German, it's very close.
German-ish.
Yes.
So he initially studied law at the University of Vienna, but he quickly switched to medicine, and he was awarded his Doctor of Medicine degree in 1844. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, depending on how you look at it, that's foreshadowing. He wasn't able to get into any internal medicine clinics. I don't know why. Maybe his grades were not great. So he settled for obstetrics.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The having of the babies.
Yes. Thank you.
Some of his teachers were a Karl von Rokitansky. I know you know him because he founded science-based diagnostics, which is the connecting clinical symptoms with pathological results. So he compiled all of his research findings into a 3-volume pathological anatomy book, which I love books, specifically medical books.
You love medical books.
And this systematically described the pathological changes to every organ and explained how to arrive at a diagnosis based on the symptoms. So at this point in medicine, people were shifting from like thinking it was the 4 humors to becoming a little more science-based, and they wanted doctors to have a science background. And he was building on that and deciding like, oh, hey, some disease processes follow a pattern. Maybe I should make these connections.
It's really amazing when you think about it, how far medicine has come.
In a
like
relatively
100,
short
200
time.
years. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, from leeches and the 4 humors to like what we all know now about the
Right.
human body. It's amazing.
He also believed that those who were described as, quote, lunatics deserved an actual diagnosis as well.
I like that.
And he demanded the first university clinic of psychiatry in Austria, which ended up setting the tone for Lindsay's frenemy, Sigmund Freud, and the future of psychology and psychoanalysis.
Listen, everyone in psych has a love-hate relationship with Freud.
Nailed it.
He's a weird dude.
He's a weird dude.
But it's just interesting that, like, this guy kind of, like, paved the way for it. Another one of his teachers were Joseph Skoda, who co-founded the Vienna School of Medicine with von Rokitansky. Did that sound confident?
I'll give it like a 50% confident.
I don't think you were very confident. Be confident, and then I won't question how it's pronounced.
Von Rokitansky.
Von Rokitansky.
Yep, exactly.
Oh.
Okay, and then final famous teacher, Ferdinand von Hebra. He was the founder of the Vienna School of Dermatology, and he set the foundation for modern dermatology, publishing the first edition of the Atlas of Skin Diseases.
Okay.
So, like, he had some big names in his background.
Yeah.
Good influences, kind of. So, back to Semmelweis, he became the assistant to Professor Johann Klein in the first obstetrical clinic of the Vienna General Hospital in 1846. So, this hospital had 2 maternity clinics. It had, and this was the name, the first clinic.
Oh, wow.
And the first clinic was run by doctors.
Oh, wait, the first clinic was called the first clinic?
Yes.
It was the first clinic.
That's
I
the
was
name.
sitting here waiting for it.
That is the name.
Okay.
First clinic, run by doctors. It had an average maternal mortality rate of about 10%.
Okay.
And this was due to childbed fever, which was also known as puerperal fever, which is a postpartum, primarily strep bacterial infection of the reproductive organs that occurs up to 10 days after giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's still a thing, but it's very, very rare now. And you'll find out why. But at that time, in the first clinic, there was a 10% mortality rate primarily from that. The second clinic is called the second clinic.
I love that they built it knowing that there was going to be more than one clinic.
Yeah.
Like, we're naming this the first. There's going to be a second.
The second clinic is run by midwives, and
Okay.
it had a less than 4% maternal mortality rate.
Improving.
That's a large improvement over 10.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to mortality. So naturally, women were, people know that you've got a higher risk of death if you're in the first clinic. And so they were literally begging to not be admitted to the first clinic. And sometimes they would do something a little extreme to try to not be admitted to the first clinic. They gave birth on the streets on purpose.
Wow.
Or they pretended to have given birth en route to the hospital so that, they can go to the second clinic because they've already given birth. The doctors don't need to do anything now, basically.
Interesting.
How do you pretend to give birth when you're still very pregnant and there's no baby?
Maybe
I don't know. You tell me.
Pretending to give birth.
Really? But hey, where's the baby?
You still kind of look
I don't
pregnant
know.
after you've had the baby.
That's true.
But you would
The
probably
biggest question is, where is the baby?
have the baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would have to have the baby. But where's the baby? Oh, I left him at home.
Don't ask questions. Just take me to the second clinic.
Baby's fine. So Semmelweis noticed that childbed fever was rare among the women who gave birth on the streets. And he was troubled by the mortality discrepancy between the two clinics. And so he tried to find the cause.
That's good.
Good man. His initial theory, we all have to start somewhere. Okay.
Okay.
His initial theory was that the priests giving last rites in the clinic were terrifying to the women. And that has been causing them to develop the fever.
I feel like, no, that's not the answer.
This sounds too close to hysteria and I don't like it.
Well, so that's what he thought.
He was wrong.
So sorry.
The priest is the reason that they have an infection.
Yeah, they scared him. Scared the women. But then
Okay.
his good friend died.
Of strep B.
Yes.
Really?
He had been accidentally poked with a scalpel while performing an autopsy of a woman who had childbed fever. And his own subsequent autopsy showed similar pathology to the women who had childbed fever. And because of this, Semmelweis was able to make a connection between childbed fever and
cleaning utensils.
potential contamination from the cadavers. Yes.
Gross.
So that sounds weird, right? Childbed fever, cadavers.
Yeah.
So let's keep in mind that hand washing was not a thing.
Right.
Yeah. Sanitary stuff was not happening.
No, and some people, some men, some doctors refused to wash their hands because it would look bad for their social status if it could look like they were ever unclean. And so the idea was like, oh, I'm always clean. I don't need to wash my hands. It's fine.
So they'd rather walk around with bloody hands?
They probably used a rag to wipe off the blood, but yeah, they're not washing it.
They might have wiped.
Can you imagine their fingernails?
No.
I try not to think about the hygiene practices of the 1800s.
I bet they were short. So that
Still.
didn't accumulate. I don't know. So
Gross.
that was now the thought, that there is some connection between the cadavers and the childbed fever. And his proposal was that now that he and the other medical professionals who would go from the autopsy room directly to the first clinic. And they had, quote, cadaverous particles, which I will call germs,
Yes.
on their hands, and they were contaminating the mothers. So this would explain why the midwives who did not perform autopsies had a much lower mortality rate.
That
Right?
checks out. Yeah.
So to combat this, he said that the doctors should wash their hands,
Wow.
That is mind-blowing.
specifically in a chlorinated solution, especially between the autopsy room and live patients.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Especially if they died of whatever
Childbed
bed
fever.
fever.
Puerperal fever. Yes, especially that. And so he kind of made that a rule. Okay, we need to wash our hands now. And whenever he did that, the mortality rate in the first clinic decreased by 90%.
90?
That's pretty significant.
That is very significant.
They even had 2 months where there were no deaths.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It really is. So unfortunately, though, this was not enough to convince the medical community that hand hygiene was important and that it had such an impact on the disease transmission. So again, we have to remember at this time, the theory on diseases were focused on the imbalance of humors in the body, and that each individual case of disease was caused by the person's own specific imbalance of the humors. Like there wasn't anything that kind of went across the board. It was just you had an imbalance of two humors, and then you had your own specific imbalance.
That sounds right.
I'm still imbalanced.
It was also thought, this is pretty true, it was also thought that water carried disease. And so not washing your hands was intentional.
I mean, it does kind of carry disease to an extent. However, it's probably better to wash your hands.
In a chlorinated solution.
Yes.
So people thought the idea of cleanliness being the only thing that mattered was extreme, and his idea was ignored, and he was ridiculed and harassed, and he was not making any friends. And doctors were offended that he would claim that the physician's hands could carry disease or that they were to blame for the deaths of the mothers. Because, of course, they would never.
You know what blows my mind more than anything, besides the not washing your hands?
The ego.
Yes, but that they were doing autopsies without gloves. Like, you were just digging your hands, bare hands, into a human body.
Okay, so I looked up the history of gloves.
That disgusts me.
Gloves started in the 1700s. But do you know that OSHA's mandating that workplaces provide disposable gloves did not
PPE,
happen until the 1980s, 1990s?
Ew.
We'll get to that. And so everybody hates him. They think he's dumb, and he basically gets laughed out of Vienna, and he has to move to Budapest. And so he becomes the head doctor over the obstetric ward at Pest University Clinic. The articles were conflicting, but if the university clinic in Budapest is called Pest University Clinic, I love that.
Is that
cute.
like a nickname for Budapest? Is Pest?
I hope so.
Apparently.
Okay.
It's adorable.
I don't want to deliver a baby at Pest.
I do. I don't want any more babies though. So,
If Semmelweis is there, you do.
well,
Fun fact, he
the
will not
ghost,
be.
the ghost of him. Wash your hands.
Use gloves.
Do not poke yourself with an autopsy scalpel.
Hygiene's important.
Shut up. Get out of here.
It's my kind of ghost, warning people at my place of work how to act.
Telling people to wash their hands.
You're doing it wrong.
You suck.
Yes. I need to come back. Petition to come back as a ghost and tell people they're doing things wrong.
But only like occasionally haunt work if I want to. I don't want to be stuck there forever.
That's a good point. I do want to go to haunted places that are around the world and spook people.
Oh yeah, like you could just fly around everywhere.
Yeah. Go wherever
Pop
I want.
in. Yeah. Okay.
There are no rules, so yeah.
I can do whatever I want when I'm a ghost.
You sure can.
Yeah.
Will you please still be friends with me?
Can we be ghost friends?
Yeah. Ghosts have friends, right?
Yeah.
Ghost besties.
Yeah.
Ghosties.
We could go haunt places together.
It's the TTG.
Okay.
We'll work on that one.
Yeah. Anyway, so over the 6 years that he held that position at Pest University Clinic,
I can't take Pest University seriously.
he all but eliminated the disease. In the final 5 years, so 5 out of 6 that he was there were only 8 patients in 5 years who died from childbed fever.
That's impressive.
It's insane. However, Semmelweis was still outraged by the backlash. He holds grudges, and I can appreciate that.
I can too. He's got evidence-based practice here.
Yeah.
And people are like, nah.
Especially because he's right.
Not a thing.
I know you got all this evidence and proof, but nah.
Shut up.
He began writing letters to prominent obstetricians, calling them irresponsible murderers.
Oh.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Okay.
There are some times that we should choose our words wisely, but he's not wrong.
But
Got the
also,
point across.
he was doing things all right and showing them like, hey, look at all of this evidence and proof I have. And they were still ignoring him. So he's like, you're killing people.
Yes, literally.
That's what I'd be like, suck it.
Would
what
you?
you're doing.
She would not.
I would not.
So his letters became more frequent and increasingly angry, to the point where people, including his wife, thought that he was literally losing his mind.
Mm.
They're like, oh, he's going crazy. Plus, he had a history of a little bit of alcoholism, and so
He's writing some drunk
it really
letters.
didn't help his case.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
He
saying.
was getting more erratic.
He published a book called The Etiology of Childbed Fever, which today would have been really well received.
Why does Elmer keep showing up in our episodes?
Because it's the chocolate almond wine. It would have been really well received. But he was laughed at by the majority of the medical community. So he started to drink more, and he spent more and more time away from his family, sometimes in the presence of a sex worker. And by 1865, his old teacher, Ferdinand von Hibra, invited Semmelweis to, this is a quote, his new water cure hospital.
Uh-oh.
We love a good water cure hospital.
We've been to several.
The Elms, Crescent,
Yes. I don't know
Mineral
Mineral
Springs.
I don't know that they actually work, but I like to hear about them.
Yeah. So, turns out it was actually an insane asylum.
Oh, his
Well-
friend tricked him.
Yeah.
Was there water therapy
In a
in a different
sense.
way? Okay.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Hydrotherapy.
They weren't lying.
It was the water cure hospital. I don't know if cure really applies. So Semmelweis caught on that they had this plan, and he tried to get away, but he was caught and severely beaten by several guards. And then he was put in a straitjacket, and then he was confined to a darkened cell. Treatments at this time included dousing with cold water.
There it is.
And laxative administration. Fun fact, because I didn't know why laxative administration would be a cure for the mentally insane.
It was getting
It's
the
rid of
humors
everything.
out. Yeah. It's getting
Purge you.
It's getting the bullshit out.
Literally.
Basically purging the body. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun fact for me. Thank you. So in a dark, ironic turn of events, Semmelweis actually ended up dying 2 weeks into his stay.
Oh, wow.
That seems fishy.
Ironic because he died from sepsis,
Oh.
which is a bloodstream infection, which is essentially different bacteria, maybe, but that's what the women died from with the childbed fever, is the systemic infection. And so he died from a systemic infection, they think from a wound on his hand that he received when he was initially trying to get away from the guards.
Bummer. He probably didn't get a chance to wash his hands.
I guarantee he did not.
That's why.
I can't make a solid guarantee, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Huh.
So, very few people had anything to say when he died. His successor at Pest University Clinic denounced hand hygiene, and the mortality rate rose to 6% within just a few months.
Look who has egg on their face now.
Not any of these guys.
Doesn't it just make you like, ugh, when people are so ahead of their times?
Yes.
He was too far ahead, unfortunately.
Yes.
It was almost like no one wanted to acknowledge Semmelweis or his life's work. Because
They
that
did.
really what it was.
Yeah.
So his remains are at the house where he was born, which is now a museum of medical history honoring him. Eventually, we know where we are today. Many doctors were willing to experiment with hand hygiene and hand washing, and they thought, oh, weird. And 20 years after his death, a random guy known as Louis Pasteur, his
Heard of him?
his work on germ theory offered an explanation for Semmelweis's observations. So he kind of closed the gap of what the doctors were not understanding. And Louis Pasteur's work and his research led to many breakthroughs in the understanding and the causes and prevention of diseases. And he laid the groundwork for hygiene and public health and vaccinations. Our girl, Florence Nightingale,
Flo.
she also noticed the ties to hand washing and infection rates, but it still didn't catch on. They were around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of universal that hand washing was dumb, but now it's not. Finally, in the 1980s, a string of foodborne outbreaks and healthcare-associated infections led to public concern, and that's when the CDC identified hand hygiene as an important way to prevent the spread of infection.
The 1980s?
The 1980s.
It feels like way too far.
That is mind-blowing to me.
Isn't it?
That, like, within our lifetime, they were like, oh, hey, hand washing is good.
Yeah.
What was the...
Oh, actually, let's wear gloves and wash our hands.
what
washing
about the
hands is
lady
good.
that you told us a story about? Can't remember her name. That didn't wash her hands and infected...
Typhoid Mary?
Yes, Typhoid Mary.
Mary, yeah.
Yeah. She didn't know either.
She was before the 1980s. The
Yes.
CDC had not recommended it yet. She might have been a contributing factor to this, though.
I feel like yes.
Yeah, so after all this, Semmelweis did finally get some recognition. Here are just a few ways. He is recognized as the pioneer of antiseptic policy. There's a medical university in Budapest and 2 other hospitals in Hungary that are named after him. In Vienna, there's a women's hospital named after him. He was on a commemorative coin in 2008. There's a minor planet named after him.
That's
I want
cute.
a minor planet named after me.
Consider it done.
The most prestigious Hungarian medical award is called Ignaz Semmelweis Prize. His bust is at the Queen Mary University in London, and he was made into a Google Doodle in 2020 to promote hand washing during the COVID pandemic.
It's kind of cool.
A doodle? Oh,
Doodle.
like on
When
the
you
Google
open
homepage. Yes.
Google, it has a little doodle.
I was very confused by a Google Doodle. I was
Doodle.
like,
A Google Doodle.
I got it now. I remember.
Aw.
Yes.
He got his claims to fame that he really needed.
A little late.
A little late, yeah.
But yeah, we got there eventually.
Gosh.
My mind is still blown on 1980s washing hands.
Did you double check me?
No, I didn't double check you. I believe you. I'm just that blows my mind that it took that long for them to come out and be like an official stance. Like, I get it. People were washing their hands before 1980s.
And then even longer for OSHA to require that
gloves.
Hospitals provide disposable gloves.
Like I said, it just makes me sad for the people who were ahead of their time. Nellie Bly was another one who made me think of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Nellie was cool.
Who was ahead of their time.
Nell Bell.
For her psych stuff.
Anyway, I can't stop, won't stop on 1800s medical history.
No, don't ever stop. I may not
Thank
remember the names totally. I'm trying to remember Ignaz Semmelweis.
I don't know if I'll remember
You've got a
his name.
really good chance at remembering that.
It reminds me of Edelweiss.
Yes.
I love that they honor him now and they recognize everything he did now and that he's getting that recognition. But it's awful that he died in an insane asylum from what he was telling people not to do.
Definitely too late. And I wonder, I don't know what his mind was like by the time he got to that point, but I wonder if he kind of recognized like,
it's over.
Yeah.
Probably.
That might be one of the few saving graces that he was only in that asylum for 2 weeks.
True.
Think about it though. An asylum with sepsis where you've got to feel absolutely awful. I'm sure he didn't
He was probably hallucinating the whole time on a
get
fever.
much. Yeah. Anyway, hand washing. It's very important. Please wash your hands.
Wash your hands. All right, thanks so much for our Smorgasbord episode this week, Boydston. You guys can always catch us at thetipsyghost.com with our socials link from there, or send us an email at thetipsyghost@gmail.com.
Don't forget to check out the Magic Mind bundle and get 45% off using our link with the code TipsyGhostJan. That's TipsyGhostJan.
Please give us a 5-star rating and a great review anywhere you listen to podcasts. We really appreciate it, and it really does help.
All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll catch you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.